The cargo ship Iron Pulse moved slowly through the Black Sea of space. It carried supplies, workers, and something else. Something dangerous. Deep in the lower deck, locked behind thick bars, was a creature no one dared to name. Tall as two men, covered in black armored skin with 4 glowing eyes and teeth like metal spikes, the alien beast was chained in silence. People called it the monster. Everyone feared it, everyone but Zira, the small alien girl who sat outside its cage every day. She said nothing. She just sat there, eyes calm, watching the beast. The guards warned her, "You'll be the first it eats." But she never left. She would hum a low tune sometimes. And strangely, the beast never growled at her. It just listened. One evening, a storm passed near the ship. Electric waves from a nearby planet rocked the engines. The lights flickered, and then, a loud crack. Bang! A surge of energy exploded through the cargo deck. The cage sparked. The metal door flung open with a hiss. The beast was free. Panic followed. Alarms. Screamed. Guards shouted. Crew members ran. "The monster is loose," one yelled. "It'll kill us all." Another cried. The beast stepped forward, breathing heavily. Chains hung from its wrists. It roared, a sound that shook the floor. Soldiers aimed their guns, and just when they were about to fire, someone stepped in front of them. A human. His name was Silas. A quiet engineer who fixed engines and didn't talk much. He raised both hands and shouted, "Don't shoot!" Everyone froze. "Get out of the way," a soldier yelled. Silas didn't move. "It's not attacking. Look at it." The beast stood still now, head tilted, eyes locked on Silas. Behind it, Zira had entered the room. Her small voice cut through the chaos. "Stop," she whispered. "He listens to calm, not to fear." The beast turned toward her. She walked, slowly, her hand reaching out. The guards tensed. Silas held his breath. Shira touched the beast's arm. "You're okay now. You're safe." And the monster lowered its head. Everyone stared in silence. Silas stepped beside Zira. "What is it?" She looked up at him. "He's called Runak. He's not a monster. He's my guardian." Later, in the command room, Zira and Silas stood before the captain. "You expect me to believe that thing is peaceful?" the captain asked, eyes sharp. "It didn't hurt anyone," Silas said. "It had the chance, but it didn't." "Until it decides to," the captain replied. "That creature is a threat. It's to be destroyed." Zira's voice trembled. "If he dies, I die." The room fell silent. Silas blinked. "What do you mean?" "He's linked to me, my race. We used to bond with protectors like him, but now he's the last, and so am I." The captain rubbed his forehead. "Even if that's true, we can't keep something like that alive. The crew is scared." "Give me 2 days," Silas said suddenly. Everyone looked at him. "Let me study it, watch it. If I can prove it's not dangerous, won't you let it live?" The captain stared long at him, then at Zira. 48 hours, he said. "No more. After that, if I see one mistake, it goes out the airlock." Back in the cargo bay, Runak was chained again, but gently this time. Silas knelt beside Zira. "Why did it listen to you?" Zira looked at the beast with sad eyes. "Because everyone sees a weapon. I see pain. Pain. He was created to fight, but he never wanted to. He only protects." Silas stared into the beast's eyes. They glowed, yes, but not with hate, with something else, something like understanding. As the lights dimmed for night cycle, Silas sat near the cage. He pulled out an old music device and played a soft tune. The beast listened. Zira leaned her head on her knees. Silas whispered, "Maybe you're not a monster after all." And in the stillness, Runak closed his eyes. The ship flew quietly through the stars. But below, something had changed. The monster had broken free. But it didn't bring death. It brought a question. What if we feared the wrong things? All along, Silas never liked being the center of attention. He was just an engineer, wrench in his pocket, grease on his fingers, always working in the shadows of the ship. He fixed engines, not problems like this. But now, the whole ship was watching. Him. Because he was the human who didn't run from the beast. The day after the incident, Silas was called back to the command deck. Captain Brain leaned forward on the table, hands flat. "You've got 48 hours, the captain said. "Convince us that thing is safe or it's gone." Silas nodded once. Jira stood behind him, quiet as always. Her eyes didn't blink. Her hand held a small glowing stone, the kind used for calming beasts long ago. "Do you believe in him?" the captain asked. Jira's voice was soft. "He's the last part of my people." Back in the cargo bay, Runak sat chained. He didn't growl. He didn't move much, but his eyes followed Silas. Silas walked in slowly, holding nothing in his hands. "No tools," he said. "No traps. Just me." The beast didn't move. Jira stood nearby, watching closely. "Talk to him," she said, "like you would talk to someone lost." Silas took a deep breath. "Hey there, big guy." Over the next few hours, Silas tested little things. He dropped a wrench on purpose. Runak flinched, but didn't react. He played music from a small device. The beast leaned closer to the sound. He offered water. Runak sniffed it first, then drank slowly. Jira explained. "He listens to tone, to rhythm. When people scream or move fast, he sees danger." "Like a child that's been hurt," Silas said. She nodded. "Exactly." Silas began to write. Notes. Reacts to kindness. Stops moving when Jira speaks. Understands basic words. Shows no aggression unless threatened. "Why is he so loyal to you?" Silas asked. Jira placed her hand on her chest. "We're bonded. Long ago, my kind shared their hearts with creatures like him. It was called soul joining. One life, two minds." Silas blinked. "If he dies, I die too." Later, that evening, a group of crew members gathered near the observation window, whispering. "That thing's a ticking bomb," one said. "Why is a mechanic defending a beast?" Another muttered. Silas heard them, but said nothing. Instead, he returned. To the cage, he brought a light orb and rolled it toward Runak. The beast tapped it. It rolled back, again, and again. A small game. Jira smiled for the first time. Then, just before rest cycle, a sharp scream echoed from the lower hall. Silas dropped his tools. He ran toward the noise. Jira followed. They turned a corner and saw Runak's cage wide open again. But this time, it wasn't an accident. A man lay on the ground, blood on his arm. "I tried to poison it," he coughed. "It's a monster." Runak stood over him, snarling. "Runak!" Jira shouted. The beast froze. Silas stepped forward. Slowly. "It's okay," he whispered. "You don't have to hurt him." Runak looked down at the man. His claws were inches away, but then he backed away. One step, then two. Then he lowered himself and sat. Security rushed in. The man was taken to medical. "Captain." Brain arrived, face like stone. "What happened?" he asked. Silas spoke first. "He didn't attack. He could have, but he didn't." The captain stared at Runak, then at Jira. "One more mistake," he said. "That's all it will take." Back in the cargo bay, Jira sat beside Runak. Her hand gently rested on his arm. Silas cleaned the claw marks from the floor. He held back. Silas said quietly. "Yes," Jira replied, "because you taught him something new." "What's that?" "Choice." That night, Silas sat in his bunk, unable to sleep. He looked at the stars outside. Everyone feared the beast. But now he saw it clearly. Not a monster, not a killer, just a guardian. Loyal, afraid, and slowly, learning to trust again. The next morning was quiet. No alarms, no screams. Just the soft humming of the ship and the sound of Silas dragging a crate of tools across the cargo deck. Inside the security cage, Runak sat calmly. His eyes glowed a gentle blue now, not sharp, like before. He didn't growl. He didn't move. He simply watched. Watched Zira. Watched Silas. Watched everything, like he was learning. Silas opened the door slowly, careful not to startle him. "Morning, big guy," he said. Runak's head tilted slightly. Jira sat cross-legged on the floor just outside the cage. She held a small memory crystal in her hands, shaped like a flower, pulsing with light. "It plays sound," she said, softly. "Old voices of my people." She tapped it. A soft alien melody began to play. Low, peaceful, like wind through trees. And Runak closed his eyes. Silas watched in silence. "That sound," he whispered. "He remembers it." Zira nodded. "It's the first song I played for him as a baby." "He was only a cub. You raised him?" "My people raised many like him, but after the war, only Runak and I survived." Silas walked closer to the bars. He crouched down and looked into the creature's face. No rage, no hunger, just something. Most people never bothered to look for sorrow. "I don't think he's a beast," Silas said. Jira smiled faintly. "He never was." That afternoon, Silas decided to test something new. He placed a stack of colored metal blocks in front of the cage. One red, one green, one blue. He pointed. "Runak, can you touch the red one?" Jira watched. The beast stared at the blocks. Then, slowly, he tapped the red one. Silas's eyes widened. Jira covered her mouth. Silas tried again. Green. Runak tapped green. Blue. Blue. Silas leaned back, stunned. He understands, not just commands, words. Jira nodded. He's always understood, but no one ever asked him to. Later, they walked to the upper deck, leaving Runak resting. The ship passed near a small star system. A soft light filled the windows. Jira looked outside. "Do you think your people will ever accept him?" Silas shrugged. "Some humans still fear anything they don't control. But not you. I guess I've been the outsider enough. Time's to recognize one." They stopped at the mess hall. Silas picked up 2 small fruit cubes and handed one to her. She blinked. "You're sharing?" He grinned. "Consider it a peace offering." She laughed, a soft, short sound. "I think he likes you." Silas raised an eyebrow. "The monster?" She nodded. "He watches you when you're not looking." Back in the cargo bay, the lights flickered, a glitch in the system. Normal, except this time a security bot rolled into the room. It wasn't supposed to be active. Its targeting light blinked, red, and then it locked onto Zira. "Jira. Move," Silas shouted. The bot fired a stun pulse. Too late. But Runak moved first. With a roar that shook the walls, he lunged forward, pulling the thick chains tight. He shielded Zira with his body, taking the stun blast himself. He growled, muscles shaking but never struck back. The captain rushed in moments later with guards. "What happened?" Silas pointed at the bot. "Glitch. It attacked her. Runak saved her." The captain looked at the floor, at the scorch mark from the stun weapon, then at the beast now lying quietly, still protecting the girl. "He protected her," the captain said. "Not attacked. Protected." Later in the review room, Silas showed the video. The footage was clear. The bot aimed. Runak moved first. No violence, only defense. The captain watched twice, then leaned back. "I don't understand," he muttered. "Why would a monster do that?" Silas answered. "Because he's not a monster." That night, Zira placed her hand on Runak's head. He purred softly, a deep echo from his chest. Silas stood beside them. "I don't think he wants to hurt anyone," Silas said. Jira looked at him. "He only wants to be seen." Silas turned away and whispered, "Then let's make sure he never has to hide again." The ship was quiet, but it was not calm. The crew still whispered about Runak. Some called him a danger. Others called him a weapon, but Silas had started calling him a friend. The next morning, Captain Brain called a private meeting. Silas stood in front of the officers. Zira stood beside him, her eyes steady. The captain leaned forward. "Runak saved you. That proves something." Silas nodded. "It proves he's not what they think." "But not everyone is convinced," the captain replied. "Some crew still want him gone." "Then let them watch," Zira said quietly. "Let them see who he truly is." An agreement was made. Runak would be moved for the first time to the training room. Not for battle, for a demonstration. Silas would lead it. Zira would assist. And every senior officer would watch. Hours later, the cargo doors opened. Runak stepped forward slowly. His thick arms hung low. His head turned side to side, watching the lights, the cameras, the guards. Everyone tensed. But Runak did nothing. He simply followed Zira, like a shadow. In the center of the room, Silas set down the same colored blocks. Looked at the audience. "Watch closely." He turned to the beast. "Runak, blue." Runak tapped the blue block. "Red, red, green, green." A few officers whispered, "He really understands. It's not a trick." Then Silas stepped back and gave Runak a metal orb. It glowed and shook when activated. "Target," Silas said. Runak gently pressed it down, shutting it off instead of smashing it. Zira spoke. "He was made to fight, but he chooses peace." That was when it happened. Boom! A blast rocked the side of the room. A section of the wall exploded. From the smoke stepped Terran, a former security officer who had been removed after trying to poison Runak days ago. He held a blaster. His face was twisted in rage. "You're all fools," he shouted. "That thing is a killer." Guards moved, but Terran grabbed Zira. He held the blaster to her head. "Back away, or I drop her." Silas froze. Runak growled. But Zira, she didn't scream. She looked at Runak and whispered one word. "Stay." Runak stood still, shaking, breathing hard, but still. The whole room watched. His claws dug into the floor. His jaw opened, teeth exposed. But his eyes never changed. They were not wild, not hateful. They were full of pain. "Let her go, Terran," Silas shouted. "She's controlling that thing." Terran yelled. "This is all fake." "No," Silas said. "She's trusting him." Suddenly Zira moved, fast. She ducked under Terran's arm just as he fired. The shot missed, but Runak didn't. He charged, not to kill, but to block. He shielded her with his body and took the second shot in the chest. He roared once but did not strike back. He didn't harm Terran, just stood over Zira until guards tackled the attacker. Silence fell. Smoke faded. Zira stood. Her hands touched Runak's side. He was burned but alive. The captain stepped forward. "I've seen enough," he said. "This creature is not a monster." Later in the med bay, Silas cleaned Runak's wound with a soft cloth. "You held back," he whispered. "You could have crushed him." Runak blinked slowly as if to say yes. Zira sat beside them. "When I first bonded with him, I thought I'd never feel safe again." Silas looked at her. "Do you now?" She nodded. "I feel safe, because he's learning mercy." Outside, the crew no longer looked at Runak with fear. They didn't cheer, they didn't speak, but they didn't look away. For the first time, they saw him, not as a threat, not as a monster, but as someone who made a choice. The ship floated above a small moon, its engines humming softly. But inside, tension filled the air, not from alarms, not from war, but from a decision. Captain Brain had called an emergency meeting. The council of officers sat at the long table. Zira sat on one side, silent. Silas stood behind her, arms crossed. Runak was not allowed in the room. He waited below, alone in the medbay, wrapped in bandages. The captain looked at them all. Runak showed restraint. He protected Zira. But he also disobeyed containment orders. He saved my life, Zira said quietly. And that's why he won't be killed, the captain replied. Relief passed through Silas, but only for a second. The captain continued. But he won't. Stay on this ship. He's to be dropped at the next outpost and turned over to the Intergalactic Species Control Bureau. Zira's mouth dropped open. No, she whispered. Silas stepped forward. He didn't ask to be created. He didn't ask to be feared. Brains, face hardened. I'm giving him life, engineer, that's more than most would. Hours later, Zira sat in her room holding her memory crystal. The song that once calmed Runak played again. But this time, her hands trembled. If they take him, she said to Silas, they'll cage him forever. Or dissect him. They don't. Want to study peace, only power. Silas said nothing. He sat down beside her, then spoke slowly. We're not going to let that happen. That night, Silas made his decision. He walked to the ship's mainframe and started rewriting orders. He changed docking plans, he scrambled tracking codes, and he removed Runak's ID tag from the ship's cargo records. The next morning, alarms blared, just for a moment, then silence. A small escape shuttle launched from the side of the ship, unauthorized. Inside it were 3 beings, Zira, Runak, and Silas. The stars rushed past them. Zira looked back through the window, her eyes full of sadness. You gave up everything. Silas checked the controls. I didn't give it up. I chose something better. They landed on a forest moon not marked on most maps. Silas had been here once before, an abandoned repair station from an old war. It still has power, he said, and scanners won't find us. Zira stepped out first. The air was warm. Birds sang strange, beautiful songs. Runak sniffed the breeze, then walked calmly into the clearing. No chains, no walls, no fear. Over the next few days they built a shelter. Silas fixed the station's water system. Zira grew plants from seed pods. Runak helped move heavy stones. They were not just surviving, they were living. At night, they sat around a fire. Silas told stories of Earth, of rivers, of dogs, of music. Zira shared tales from her home, of beasts like Runak that once walked beside warriors, not behind them. Sometimes Runak would let out a soft growl, like a purr, like he was remembering too. One evening, Silas stood up and walked to the edge of the forest. He looked at the stars. They'll come looking, he said. Zira joined him. Then we hide. No, he said. Then we show them what they missed. She turned. What do you mean? He looked back at the station, at Runak, curled beside a warm fire. I'm going to send out the truth. Silas returned to the station's transmitter. He recorded a short message. His voice was calm. This is Commander Silas Holt. I've broken every rule, disobeyed direct orders, but I did it to protect something worth saving. He paused, then finished. I chose the beast, because it chose peace. He sent the message to a public channel, one watched by journalists, explorers, even peacekeepers. He knew what would happen next, but he didn't care, because for the first time in his life, he had nothing to prove and everything to protect. Message Silas sent reached across space. People listened. Some laughed, some got angry, some stayed silent. But one man followed it. His name was Cale Trask, a bounty hunter, fast, cold, known for tracking dangerous creatures, known for killing them without a second thought. He had hunted beasts, rebels, warlords, even creatures larger than Runak. To him, nothing was untouchable. And this human who ran off with an alien monster? Easy money. He found them 2 weeks later. His ship landed quietly on the far side of the forest moon. No warnings, no words, just footprints and silence. That evening, Zira sat near the fire, roasting roots. Runak laid behind her, silent but alert. Silas worked on a broken solar panel beside the old station. A bird screeched in the trees. Runak growled softly, too soft for fear, but deep enough to mean something is wrong. Silas stood up. What is it? Runak faced the trees, muscles tensing. Then, bang! A flash grenade exploded. Jira screamed. Silas dove forward. Runak! The beast jumped in front of Zira, taking the hit. Dust filled the air, and from the smoke, Cale Trask stepped out. Tall, armored, calm. His rifle pointed straight at Runak's heart. Step aside, human, Cale said coldly. I'm only here for the creature. Silas stood, hands raised. Please, he hasn't hurt anyone. Cale's voice was like ice. He's on 20 watch lists. Half the galaxy thinks he's dead. You should have kept it that way. Jira moved in front of Runak. He saved me. He's connected to you, Cale replied. Of course he protects you. That doesn't make him safe. Cale raised the rifle higher. Move. Silas stepped between them. I won't. Cale frowned. Why? Because he didn't attack you. Even now, with a weapon pointed at him, he holds back. Kyle looked at the beast. Runak's muscles were tight, his claws dug into the dirt, but his eyes, they weren't glowing with rage. They were watching. Cale had seen wild eyes before. He knew madness, fear, bloodlust. But this was different. This was understanding. Jira spoke again. He didn't choose to be made this way, but he chose not to become what they wanted. Cale blinked. No one's ever said that about a beast before, he muttered. Silas lowered his hands slightly. Maybe he's not the one who needs to prove anything anymore. For a long moment, Cale said nothing. Then he lowered his rifle. I came to kill a monster, he said. But now I don't know what I'm looking at. Silas said softly. Then stay. Watch. Cale didn't speak, but he didn't leave. That night he sat by the fire across from Runak. He watched the beast sleep beside Zira like a giant dog. Calm. Gentle. Cale whispered. I've hunted things like you my whole life. Runak opened, one eye. Blinked. None of them ever spared me, Cale added. You had the chance. Twice. Runak let out a slow, quiet breath, then closed his eye again. In the morning, Cale walked over to Silas. I'm reporting you dead, he said. All of you, Silas frowned. What? I'm wiping your signal from the Hunter network. You don't exist anymore. Jira stepped forward. Why? Cale looked at Runak. Because I saw something that doesn't make sense, he said. And sometimes, that's the kind of truth worth protecting. He walked back to his ship. Before he climbed aboard, he turned one last time. To me, he's still dangerous, Cale said. But he's also something else. I don't know the word. Silas smiled. We call it hope. Cale nodded once, then flew away. That night, Jira, Runak, and Silas sat quietly by the fire again. Jira leaned on Runak's side. He made a soft sound, like a purr. Silas looked up at the stars. They'll keep coming. Maybe not to hunt us. Maybe just to understand, Jira smiled. Let them. He's ready now. Silas nodded. So are we. And far across the galaxy, on 1,000 screens, the message still played. I chose the beast, because it chose peace. The galaxy did not forget Runak. At first, most didn't believe Silas's message. They called it a lie, a trick, just a human trying to protect a dangerous beast. But then Cale Trask, the galaxy's most feared bounty hunter, filed a strange report. No kill, no capture, target no longer threat, do not pursue. That changed everything. Weeks passed, then months. The forest moon became a quiet home. The old station was repaired. Clean water flowed. Light grew inside the rooms, and stories began to spread. A traveling teacher came to visit, curious about the tale of the beast who chose not to fight. He watched Runak from a distance at first, then closer. When the teacher left, he wrote a report titled, The Intelligence of the Gentle Giant. Others followed. Scientists, explorers, even soldiers. They expected to find something dangerous, but they found something else. They found a protector, a friend, a being who had been made to kill, and chose kindness instead. One day, a ship landed. Without warning, Silas, Zira, and Runak stood ready, prepared to defend. But the ship didn't open with guns. It opened with children, alien children, orphaned from war, lost, afraid. A soft voice from the ship's comm said, "They have no home. We heard, your beast protects." Runak stepped forward. The children backed away at first. Some cried, but one small boy walked forward. His eyes were wide but steady. He reached out a tiny hand. Runak leaned down slowly, carefully, and touched his finger to the child's palm. No one moved. Then the child laughed. That night the campfire was larger. More voices. More hands building. More small footsteps in the forest. Runak watched them all, not from a cage, not from behind bars, but from beside them. The story reached the Galactic Peace Assembly. Some wanted Runak captured for study, others wanted him protected forever. Silas sent one last message. He is no longer a danger. He is a lesson. You can choose to study fear, or you can learn from what tamed it. And for the first time in its history, the Assembly made a new law. Any being, no matter its origin, can earn freedom through proven choice. They called it the Runak Law. Years later, statues were made, not of warriors holding swords, but of a girl with quiet eyes, a human with a kind heart, and a beast once feared by all. Runak grew older, slower, but never angry. He would sit in the clearing, surrounded by children, letting them climb on him, laugh and fall asleep on his arms. He never let harm come near them, not once. One evening, as the sun set behind the trees, Zira sat beside him. "You've changed the stars," she said. Runak made a low sound, a soft hum from deep in his chest. She leaned her head against him. "We're not hiding anymore," she whispered. "They come to us now, for peace, for help." Silas approached, carrying tools and snacks. He sat beside them, smiling. "Not bad for 3 fugitives," he joked. Zira laughed. "We're legends now." "Still have to fix the water filters," though Runak gave a quiet grunt, his version of a chuckle. And so the story ended. Not with war, not with death, but with a choice. A single choice to be more than what the world expected. They feared a monster. They met a guardian, and the galaxy changed forever.